friends, my name is Deb Green and this is my first ever watercolor tutorial video on YouTube. So welcome, I'm so glad that you're here with me. In today's video, we're going to talk about the must-have things that you need to start watercolor. Have you ever went to the art supply store? If so, you know that there's a variety of things that you can purchase for watercolor. Some things are very, very expensive. Like, what's the difference between a $5 brush and a $35 brush? What is a student watercolor or a professional watercolor? And why not just use the watercolors that they offer at the dollar store? Like, what's the difference? What is the difference between cellulose paper and cotton paper? And why is there cotton in paper? These are all things that we're going to talk about and unpack in today's video and in videos to come. So if these are all questions that you would really love to know the answer to, let's talk about it. Hello everyone, I have a setup here on my art table of various brushes, sets of watercolors in palettes, watercolor paper, and even a couple watercolor ceramic palettes that I use, and I also have some water here alongside. So I wanted to start by talking about paint. Let me set some of this stuff aside here. I have two sets that I have used most recently. The student grade set is the Mei Liang set by Paul Rubens, which I will be unboxing in my next video. Obviously, I filmed that before I did this video. It is super affordable. It has tons of colors and many little extras over here. It does have a mixing palette underneath this side, and if you're really desperate for more palette and you are on the road or doing something, you could also mix on this side if you really needed to, but I don't usually ever do that. Some pros about this set here is that it's super affordable. There are tons of convenience colors. A convenience color is a color that's already mixed, as opposed to a set that has fewer colors. So many colors, you can just jump right in and start creating with these bright colors. The downside to some student sets, I did not see this with this set. I was honestly really shocked and impressed with this set, and I look forward to using it here on out. Sometimes in a cheaper set of watercolors, the pigments are weaker. They can be chalky. Sometimes the colors don't want to lift off the paper. Let's say you made a little mistake and you want to kind of blot the colors up. Sometimes that's a little bit more difficult. Some colors always are difficult, but more so in a set. I have had just a really wonderful experience with this set. This set runs about $35 on Amazon, and again, that's the Mei Liang set by Paul Rubens. And as I mentioned briefly, it does come with a pigment liner, a B pencil, a small brush, and a little sponge right here. I don't really have a middle of the road set to show you, but I did remember that years ago when I was in school, I did use Winsor & Newton Cotman watercolors, and although it's been many years since I've used them, I thought they were good, but not great, at least for me. I was also not using premium paper. I was just using a student grade paper because that's all I could afford at the time. And I honestly think that the watercolor manufacturing has improved. I don't remember them being better necessarily than this Mei Liang set, and this is my recommendation at this time. I did get a set of Daniel Smith for my birthday, And it was honestly quite a chunk of change, well over $100 for 24 pans of paint, which was fine. It was a splurge. That's great. But what I've kind of noticed is that every time I want to add a color, it's going to cost me $10 to $14 for a tube of paint, maybe a little bit cheaper for a smaller tube of paint, which I'm not really into spending another $100 on paint, which is really why I experimented with the Mei Liang set, because there are just so many more colors. Daniel Smith, as you can see their logo right here, are just top of the line professional quality paints. They are just buttery and vivid, and you just don't need to use a lot of the paint. And they're perfect for the artists that want to grow into a serious work. But in the meantime, while you're just learning, you will get a very nice result. And I would venture to say that it would be hard for you to tell the difference initially between the two sets. As a beginner, it would be hard to tell the difference between the two sets. So secondly, I wanted to talk about watercolor paper. So basically these represent 3 levels of watercolor paper: good, better, and best. As a brand new student, I would highly recommend that you kind of stay in this wheelhouse here. I truly believe you can start watercolor on a budget and have a great result. Okay, when you're comparing good, better, and best in watercolor papers, some of the big factors include how well the paper takes the water. First is this Canson mixed media. It is wonderful for brand new watercolorists. There's a lot of people online who use this even once they are more of a seasoned watercolorist. They continue to use this for their practice work, for their swatching and things like that. It is a cellulose paper, which means it is 100% wood pulp. It is not going to act the same as a watercolor paper, but this paper has a nice thickness to it, so it will hold up to the water, and it's a really good practice paper. I enjoy using this. I was doing some swatching on in this journal, and I noticed that it did not buckle terribly when I was using it, and I'll show you some more practice. Now, when I used a little bit bigger swatch, it started to buckle just a little bit more. I was color mixing here. So here's another practice sheet, and you can kind of see a little bit more of the buckling that happens with this paper. But you still get some pretty nice effects with the water, which is why it makes a really nice little practice journal. It comes in a variety of sizes. This is July of 2025 when I am recording this. And on Amazon, this size of mixed media paper for 60 sheets is $16.29, so very affordable. The same line Canson XL watercolor paper is $18.99 for 30 sheets. I don't have that, so I can't show it to you, but those are both on Amazon at this time. But just a really wonderful practice journal. And I look forward to using this sketching outdoors, painting outdoors, and things like that. Secondly is Meeden watercolor paper. This is the paper that I've been using the most over the last couple of months. It was recommended by other YouTubers, and some of them have been painting for years and use this almost exclusively because it is very affordable, but yet it is 100% cotton. It comes in a variety of sizes, so I do have 2 sizes. I don't know if I can get them both in here. This is a larger 15 by 11 size, and I have the smaller 10 by 7. And this is not a journal. This is a a tablet or a pad, a watercolor block, they're also called. And that means that there is glue around all four sides of this pad of watercolor paper. And when you're done painting, it has like just a little slot right here that's just about, I don't know, 1.5 inches wide from there to there. And you take a straight edge. Sometimes I use this. Sometimes I use my palette knife, and you just stick it down in there and then run it. They kind of pull up as you go and run it around when you're done. I was doing some swatching on it, but you can just hear how thick it is. It really doesn't buckle as you're painting on it. I was painting on my larger sheet and was putting 2 different designs and cutting them apart, or you could do one design. But I was just really impressed with how it took the water. This is my practice in some negative painting, and I have been really happy with this Meeden cold press 100% cotton watercolor paper. I found that the Meeden paper worked very well. I found that it absorbed the water nicely. It stayed damp for a good workable period of time. I have used painter's tape, which I had around here somewhere. I don't know where I put it. And I will quite often mask the edges like I did with this piece I'm kind of just messing around with. I'll put painter's tape on it, and the tape is coming off nicely. It's not ripping the paper up with it. Since this is a better quality than this, it's more durable. You can take your brush and you can kind of lift some of the paint up as you're using it. If you go over your area maybe a couple times, it won't work up the tooth of the paper. It won't start to get fuzzy. It's just going to behave nicer than this one. This tablet here has 20 sheets, and it is $16.95 on Amazon. And the larger tablet is 11 by 15, and it is $24.95 for 20 sheets as well. And the larger tablet has the glue around all four sides, just like this. It's just like its big brother, I guess. So I've been super happy with this. I never feel nervous about painting on it, like, you know, like imposter syndrome or something like that. I've been really happy with this watercolor paper. And then lastly, I splurged on an Arch or Arches travel journal. I have not used it because every time I think about using it, honestly, I break into a cold sweat. Like I need to be so much better before I actually jump into this journal. And I know that's not true. You know, you can tell your head something, but that doesn't mean that you're going to be able to get out of your head. But I look forward to using this, and I'll take you along with me when I do. I am always just in awe with how beautifully the color lays down, how well you can glaze, which means additional layers of watercolor built upon the previous layer without disturbing that layer underneath. It is just a wonderful paper for that technique. Also, like I mentioned with the Meeden, you can lift up paint. If you lay paint down, you can take a thirsty brush, which is a brush that's been dipped in water and dried off so it does not have excess water in it, and dab or swipe and pull some of that paint up. Whenever I'm watching a professional watercolorist, they almost inevitably are using Arches paper, so keep an eye out for that. But it's much more expensive. This is what's the dimensions? 6 by 10, and there's 15 sheets in here, and this is $21.75. So, you know, not a ton more expensive, but enough that you'll, you know, kind of, you don't want to swatch on it, put it that way. All right. Basically with brushes, you can start very inexpensively and then really go into some serious money depending upon what the brush is made out of, whether it's sable or squirrel or something like that. But here's the thing. I would discourage you from buying a super cheap set on Amazon. I know it sounds good to buy 10 brushes for, you know, $6.99, but you really are going to get what you pay for. Another thing I want to talk about brushes would be the difference between synthetic, which I have a Princeton Neptune synthetic brush here. I also have Princeton Aqua Elite. These are both synthetic bristles, meaning that they are not a natural bristle. They don't come from an animal, but they have really come a long way over the years, and a lot of people use synthetic brushes exclusively. And then you have a blended brush, which this is a sable blend, so it has some sable bristles, but it also has synthetic added in. It is not a 100% natural bristle brush. Some may consider this a better brush, while other artists use these throughout their career. So I hesitate saying good, better, best in this category, but if we're kind of categorizing them, the synthetic might be considered more of a good brush. A blend would be a bit of a better brush. And then this is a sable ox blend, and this is a Kolinsky sable. These two are not synthetic, but honestly, it is always good to just experiment with a variety of brushes and see what works best for you. And one thing I haven't mentioned was I always use the short brushes. Mostly the long brushes are for like plein air painting when you are outside. A lot of oil painters, because they're standing at easels, use a long handled brush. I personally think they just get in the way, and so I don't use a long handled brush. I wanted to touch base on some ceramic palettes, and I'm going to tell you, I have a total cheat for these palettes. I buy them at the thrift store. I think I might have paid $2 or $3 for each of these. And then I also bought these little, kind of like a little stack set for $1 a piece. Ceramic palettes can range from $15 and even go up into $30, $50. These are just so much space to mix colors and leave them and come back. And then I also use mason jars for my water that I thrifted for about $1 a piece. So all total between palettes and mason jars, if you just had one palette and 2 mason jars, you're in it for about $5, which is pretty cheap. Okay, so that's everything I have for you today regarding the watercolor basics that you'll need to get started. There are a few non-essentials listed in the description box, as well as links to all of my recommended products. Also, don't forget that you can save up to 12% at meadenart.com by using the code COLORFUL12. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate your time here, and I hope you found some useful information. If so, please leave a comment and let me know, or let me know if you've tried any of these products. I would love to hear your experience with them. We'll see you next time.